MTL Sports Podcast, episode 62. Christmas is over. Hope everyone had a nice holiday. But we're back. Give you a jam-packed Wednesday episode. We're going to go over takeaways from week 16, I believe, was last week. We're not going to recap every game, but we'll give you our biggest takeaways from the week. Then we'll move into our usual Wednesday/Thursday schedule. We'll go into our games of the week, give you all of our picks, the betting lines, all that good stuff. And then we get some rapid fire we'll throw your way. With all that being said, please stay tuned. Takeaways from week 16. Great slate of games the past couple of days. Remember, we had games on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and Monday. Huge week. A lot of playoff implications in some of these games, seeding and all that good stuff. Lawrence, I'll pass it off to you first. What do you think are some of the big takeaways from last week?
Some of the biggest takeaways, obviously I'm going to go there. The Packers had to get bailed out by the refs in order to beat the good almighty Panthers. Bryce Young is him. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not going that far. He just had a really one good game. It's good to see him have one good game. The Colts, apparently the Falcons have a decent quarterback at quarterback. They can win a game. So that was an interesting nod. Cleveland Browns took it to the Texans. It was a lot closer of a game than I thought it would be based on who was quarterback for the Texans. But regardless, Cleveland Browns are solidifying themselves in that playoff race. Lions qualified for the playoffs, winning the division. Happy days. Buccaneers absolutely dounced the Jaguars. A few of us saw that coming, a few of us didn't. Patriots upset the Broncos. Ooh, woohoo. That was a fun one. Won some money on that one. Cowboys showed that they are, in fact, maybe kind of possibly the frauds. And the Dolphins proving that they're not the frauds? Question mark. And then next thing. Chiefs. Chiefs might not be that good. Kind of hard to say. Raiders, low key might be slipping into the playoffs. Maybe not. We don't know. Everyone that apparently is in the playoff race with wildcard seeding still all want to lose on the same given week. So making it easier for everyone else who's fallen behind to catch right back up. Eagles being the Eagles and getting lucky and pulling it over on the Giants. There are multiple times in which the Eagles should not have gotten things to go their way, in which they did. Especially right at the end of the first half when, Jalen Hurts didn't go out of bounds, and then the Giants just gifted them something. But in reality, it did kind of look like Jalen Hurts may or not have fumbled the ball. They didn't blow no whistle. The guy didn't know anything. He was just covering up the ball. That was bogus. And the Ravens, are the Ravens good, or did the 49ers quarterback just have a really, really bad game? In my opinion, I'm down to say that Purdy just had a really, really, absolutely just horrible, horrifying game. He did the 4 interceptions, but in reality, he only threw like 2 of them. 2 of those interceptions were just bogus. I mean, they were just like, you couldn't have seen that coming. But 2 of them were horrifyingly bad. So, in all, I think it was a good weekend of games. Still a little salty. The Carolina Panthers had to get screwed over by the refs in order to, make sure the Packers' playoff chances were alive. I know you were on our side saying that we shouldn't have been bamboozled like that.
Yep.
Well, that's my takeaway from the weekend slates. It was a quick doozy. You probably have already heard all the windmill about and the chatter about all the games. So I'm not gonna, keep being the dead horse at you.
Yeah, no, I agree, and especially I didn't make as much time as I thought I would to watch some of these games. Honestly, I really only caught Saturday because Sunday I worked for most of the day, and the later games I think weren't really interesting. I mean, the Dolphins Cowboys was interesting, but I think I ended up having to do something else, so I don't think I watched too much of that. So I'm not gonna speak too much on the games. Just know that, yeah, like we said, I mean, we kind of called the Chiefs might be bad this year. It's looking like they are kind of bad. Um, and like you said, the 49ers Ravens. Was it so much Brock Purdy losing them the game, or is the Ravens really that much better than the 49ers?
Mm-hmm.
It's probably more of what you said. Brock Purdy just had a bad game, and Ravens defense probably just kind of schemed them out, which is basically what we said needed to happen. Like, right, you needed to make sure the 49ers go down if you wanted a chance, and that's what happened. But anyway, we'll move ahead. Week 17, 2 more weeks left, right, until the playoffs. So these last 2 games are make or break it for a lot of people. I think for the AFC, I think we can realistically say 10-7 is probably is where you get in, and then the NFC, we'll see what that record looks like. Probably 9-8, but I mean, honestly, I could maybe see a team get in with 8-9. I don't know. It's really weird how these seedings are going down. I'll let you pick first, Lawrence. What is your first game of the week? Week 17.
First game of the week for week 17. I think I'm going to have to go with a little doozy of a game. And I'm going to pick. I'm looking at all of them. I'm looking at all of them. I think one of the biggest games of the week is going to be Tampa Bay Saints. Like I said in past weeks before, basically, in my opinion, well, it's not basically in my opinion. If the Buccaneers win this game, it's over. They win the division. They'll be too far ahead to catch.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that's correct. Yeah, they'll be too far ahead to catch. And seeing how they have to play the Carolina Panthers in Week 18, that's almost pretty much a gimme. So even if they do lose to the Saints, they still have a gimme game left in the season.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing the Saints, and they have to play the Falcons in the last week, it just bodes really well, and the Buccaneers can just ride off into the sunset, knowing what they have to do, and that is beat the Saints and then beat the Panthers to make sure no one can catch them. But I think the Buccaneers, do they not hold both games over the Falcons, I believe? Let's go check on that real quick. They lost to the Falcons and they beat the Falcons. So I don't know how that would work out overall, since they have 1 win, 1 loss against the Falcons.
Yeah.
The Falcons beat their target this week. I don't know how that would do in the last week of the season if the Falcons beat the Saints, and somehow, some way, Panthers could pull off an upset. But it also would mean the Falcons have to take advantage of the Bears. I don't know if I see that one happening either. So, Buccaneers, by all means, you can rewrite your history right now by beating the Saints. Not something you've been able to do in the past, even with Brady, in the regular season. So, with the Baker Mayfield Red Buccaneers, I am believing that the Buccaneers finish off the season strong and hard. They take advantage of this game and they win this game pretty dominantly, in my opinion. I don't even know if it's going to be that close. I think they might dominantly win this game because, in
Okay.
my opinion, I don't feel like the Saints are all that good. Saints have been hit or miss. They're 2-3 in their last 5, and
Yep.
most of those games have been misses because you do look at the 2 wins they do have. The level of talent in which they beat in those 2 games is just not it. They beat the Giants and they beat the Panthers.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not a lot right there.
So they're not playing anyone tough. They haven't beaten anyone tough. Now for the Buccaneers, you could say, okay, well they haven't played anyone tough. Well, they beat Carolina. That's the same thing as the Saints, so it's a wash. But they did beat the Falcons, and the Falcons are trying to fight for a playoff spot. So boom, that's a good win. Green
Yep.
Bay has been trying to fight for a playoff spot. They crushed Green Bay. It looks like a different score, but they beat up Green Bay. So that's a good win. And finally, last week, they just put the Jacksonville Jaguars out of their misery. At this point, it doesn't even look like the Jaguars might make the playoffs, but
Yeah.
they put them out of their misery. So as I look at this game, I look at it as a fact that the Buccaneers are at home. It is a division game. Divisionally, the Buccaneers are 3-1. The Saints are 2-2 in the division. Defensively, the Saints, like to kind of pass the ball a lot. And according to the score, the Buccaneers are 32nd in pass defense, which I didn't believe was true, but maybe it is. But the Buccaneers are 7th in run defense, and
Yeah.
the Saints don't do a whole lot of running anymore. That's just not their
Nah,
style.
not the style.
They like to dink and dunk it down the field as a running game to Kamara. So we'll see how they handle. But divisional games always end up being really close. But I just feel like this one just gets out of hand late, and I think Tampa Bay takes it because the weapons that Tampa Bay have just been putting on more of shows, putting on more of full product out there towards the end of the season, as a comparison to the Saints have not.
Okay. I like your prediction. So basically, you think Tampa Bay is going to finish double digits, 10-7, because after this week they got you guys, and that's pretty much a give me.
I think it's a give me. Honestly, I would also say possibly not finishing 10-7. Because there's the only reason because if they don't have to play anyone against Carolina, I don't think they will have. I don't think they will play anyone against Carolina.
Yeah,
If the Falcons lose, then there's no way of anyone catching them. They're pretty sure they're locked in as 4 seed anyways. Even at 10-7, they still get the 4 seed. So in what world would they want to try to take? In what world would they want anything more than that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because the 49ers are 11-4. The Lions are 11-4, and the Eagles are 11-4. So there's no way they can take it. So if they win this week, Falcons lose, they might finish off 9-8 just because they don't care about beating Panthers. Maybe the Panthers get one last hoorah. I don't know, but that's how I see it. That's the only way the Panthers win if they sit everyone, and I do mean everyone.
All right, I like it. For me, first game, of course, we go on Cincy Chiefs rematch of last year. Last year they met in the regular season, but last year we had Joey B. This season, Joey B is hurt, so now we're stuck with Jake Browning, who, by the way, had a stinker of a game again. Just this week, the Steelers defense. Yeah, they're better than who do we beat? The Colts or something? Yeah, I mean they're better than the Colts. So even though Pittsburgh's having a little bit difficulties right now, it's a division game. Can't drop a division game and have 3 turnovers like that. But maybe it's a new week. We'll see a new Jake Browning, right? I don't know. But as you can see in the matchup predictor, 72% are on the Chiefs. I'm pretty sure it was like that last week with the Raiders. So with that in mind, I think Cincy will come back. Can make a comeback game. It's gonna be an Arrowhead, but the Raiders just beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead. Honestly, my biggest takeaway from the Raiders game this past week is that the Chiefs are in big trouble. We were looking at the other receivers as kind of being the main problems, but I think just overall, even Shannon Sharp touch up on this. Even Gronk, or not Gronk, Kelsey, he's dropping balls, bro. Like everyone's just dropping passes, and it's just contagious. Like I think everyone's, like I don't know, confidence is down. No one's really exuding a lot of like championship mentality or just like charisma, even just like that championship energy. Like I don't feel that from anybody. Like I don't know, like even Mahomes just making stupid mistakes. Like instead of just running out of bounds or throwing the ball out of bounds, the guy like kind of like one leg throws the ball, and it's just like a freaking potato throw, and like the Raiders linebacker just like, okay, I'll take it, and just like it's an easy interception. Like, bro, you weren't making that. You wouldn't make that same throw last year. Like, what are you doing? So he's just not playing well. All the receivers aren't playing well besides Rice. You brought that up earlier today. Kelsey doesn't look like himself. He was beat up earlier in the season. I don't think he's really recovered at all. With all that being said, Cincinnati doesn't have Chase. He's questionable. Cam Taylor-Britt's out. I know Hendrickson was banged up a little bit on the last game. We're down a couple guys. So, all that being said, I mean, I would probably take Cincy spread. Um, I don't know about that over because the Chiefs can't score. And if Jake Browning keeps turning the ball over, we're not going to be able to score either. So I wouldn't touch points, but I would definitely take Cincy spread. It's definitely a winnable game, even in Arrowhead, even with Jake Browning at the helm. Because this Kansas City offense has just been terrible, and even against our defense, which has been terrible at times, I just think they'll have a hard time scoring because. Yeah, I just don't trust these receivers, even with our kind of bogus secondary. I don't think they can, even if they do get separation, I don't think they're going to catch anything. So,
Well, T.
uh,
Higgins has to have put on a game because he needs to get paid. He needs to get paid. He's getting paid
uh,
next year. He's going to sign a nice big fat contract to Carolina Panthers. Become the number one wide receiver, and he's going to get
well,
paid.
you can believe that. He's definitely at the very least going to get franchise tagged. I don't think they're just going to let this man walk out the door.
He's going to get paid.
He'll get paid for 1 year, and then they'll just kick it
No,
down the road like they always do with these type of players. But
no, Carolina's going to get him. Don't worry. We'll take care of him.
all right, we'll do the same franchise tag as what they did with Lamar. You can give him a deal, but you have to give us two first. Does that sound good to you? I'll take your two first, and then you won't have any first for a while.
No, you can't do that. You can't even afford him. You can't even afford to franchise tag him.
Well, they can cut some people. So yeah, I would take spread Cincinnati. I'm not going to dig too deep into the game because I mean Kansas City. I mean both teams have just been playing some pretty bad football, so not too much to dig into. What you got for us? Second game of the week 17.
Well, the second game is a doozy of a game. It's a really important game. I'm gonna go Dolphins Ravens.
Oh, what's that? The New Year's Eve game? Yep, at
I
1:00.
Well, they're all New Year's Eve games, but
Oh yeah,
not
that's
all,
true.
but majority are.
The majority are.
But I like the Dolphins to get an upset win against the Ravens at home. Ooh, I'm calling that upset win. Uh, I
Oh,
just
they're
kind of,
playing in Baltimore.
I
Nice.
just feel like the Dolphins offense. I don't know. I feel like the Dolphins just needed to see. It's like a basketball player. They need to see one go through the hoop. They finally beat a team with a winning record. Um, yeah, the other team may have also been on fraud watch, just like they are.
Yeah,
But they did just enough to make sure that they finished that game off and were successful at it.
that's true.
So that is why I believe that the Dolphins can pull off that upset against the Ravens because they've just seen the ball go through the hoop. They know they can do it. It's not completely impossible to get done. Um, in terms of like spreading a team out wide, there's no better team than that. And one thing we didn't see the 49ers do all game was cook the Ravens on a deep pass or something. Well, we've seen the Ravens multiple times this season just get cooked out of nowhere.
Yeah.
One big shot, one big play, and that's how they lose their big leads in games, is by just getting cooked a few times when they take the foot off the gas. And there's no team better at cooking someone real quick than the Dolphins. With Waddle, Hill, Mostert, A Chain, like there's just too many guys that are really fast that can go over the top. And honestly, the Ravens like to play a little bit more hard nosed, like a little bit more bully ball, kind of a little bit more bully, which does work. Um, but it's kind of hard to bully someone when you can't catch them. And in my opinion, I think that's how the Dolphins have to play this game. They have to play this game as if this is the school ground and he's the bully. The only way to not get bullied is to outrun the bully. So that's pretty much the best way that the Dolphins are going to have to play it.
I like it.
You don't let the bully catch it, and you got to do what you got to do to get it. I do see a lot of questionables on those Dolphins injury report. A lot of them seem really important. That you don't want to be questionable, but it is what it is. I do not think that Tua's thumb is going to completely hinder him from playing. But I don't know. Just seems like one of those spots in which the Ravens are on a high of highs. They have a nice winning streak going. They just beat the NFC's best.
Yep.
But they really haven't been tested since the Rams game. And even then, they didn't even get. In my opinion, they didn't even get to get tested because as soon as overtime, as soon as it got hard in overtime, they just got to run one back.
The Rams folded, yeah, as soon
Yeah,
as it got
so
hard.
they haven't really had to been tested yet. So that's the one thing I will say is the Rams did give them a hell of a game, but as soon as the going got cuffed, they just folded over. So I kind of like the Dolphins to maybe upset this one. If at the least cover that spread of 3 points, 3.5. Sorry. I do feel like the Dolphins may lose again on a field goal like play again this week. You just won on a field goal, now you lose on a field goal.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we've been saying this all year. I think the Ravens secondary is their biggest weakness, and no one's really taking advantage of it. 49ers have the best shot to, but they were getting after Brock Purdy, putting pressure on him, and so I mean they couldn't really go any deep routes with their guys. So
Yeah, just for for me, the 49ers just seemed like they just didn't even. They
want to
didn't
play.
land. They didn't land. They didn't get there. It wasn't. It just was not their day.
Yeah,
It was just something that across the board was just not going to work out for them that day.
hate to see it. My second game of the week. After looking at some of these games, I'm gonna go them boys and the
The
Lions.
boys.
I think with this game, you basically just solidify who's the third best team. Not in terms of seeding, but actual third best team. It's been flipping flopping between the Lions and the Cowboys, and I think why not prove this on a Saturday? All right, so Detroit is a 6 point favorite. I think we're at Jerry World, AT&T Stadium, so we're playing in Dallas. Cowboys have been undefeated at home all season. I think they're like what 19-0 if you go back to last season or something. So, major home court advantage here, home field advantage. Jared Goff has been playing better after he got into a little rut. I don't know about this one. I definitely feel like this one will be a shootout. So I feel like the over is a safe bet. Will the Lions cover? Maybe. Just depends on what versions of the Cowboys we get. Is the offense going to be in tune and the defense going to show up as well, or are we going to get a game, where just one of the parties shows up, dominates, and then you barely scoot by, or whatever the case might be? I don't know. I don't know. This should be a good game though. I think this will be a top 2, top 3 game going into week 17. It'll be interesting to see if the Lions choose to pick on Bland, because a lot of teams have been picking on him, even though he has the NFL record for most pick sixes. A lot of teams still do throw his way to pick on him, so it'll be interesting to see that matchup. And then for the Cowboys, can they run against Detroit? Which, I mean, Detroit's run defense is not the best. So it'd be interesting to see if Tony Pollard can get going. We're 17 games in, and Pollard doesn't have 1,000 yards rushing yet, which is pretty insane if you ask me. I mean, he has over 200 carries and doesn't have 1,000 yards. Like, that pretty much just proves to you what we said last year. Like, this guy shouldn't be lead back. So we'll see how this one goes. 30% for the Lions. I feel like that's very, very, very low. To me, it should be like a 40-60 game. Like, the Lions could win, but I don't expect the Cowboys to dominate them. I mean, it's a get right game for the Cowboys, but that doesn't mean that they can't lose one more. One more is not going to hurt them. They're pretty much stuck at that 5th seed. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this one.
So how do we talk about this one elephant in the room that's just chilling there, sitting at us, saying, "Hey, talk about me, talk about me, talk about me."
What game is that?
Well, it's not really a game. It's more like a fat elephant in the room, which is Russell Wilson basically getting canned.
Oh yeah.
Russell Wilson just getting canned. Getting put in the suitcase.
To your point, JJ, it's like, what, dude?
Being being thrown out of the plane. For me, it's like, dude, you like the Broncos are still very much in the playoff race. Like, in what world, in what logic is it to bench Russell Wilson? Is it strictly just to save money? Like that? I mean, yes, I know it's strictly to save money, but are you guys really more concerned about saving a little bit of money than trying to get to the playoffs?
They are, because I read an article about it, and apparently they told him after they beat Kansas City that if he doesn't change his contract, that they would do this. And of course, he's going to want all the money he wants. All the money that he's entitled to, he wants. So he's not going to change the structure of his deal. And so they said, all right, you don't do that. You're going to sit the bench these last 2 weeks so we can save a little bit of cash. And, what did they do? They sit him. He's gonna make less money. They're gonna save some money, and then they're gonna cut him in March. So it's very sad. I mean, this dude's a borderline Hall of Famer, and this is how you treat him. It's pretty shitty. Hopefully, he can go somewhere next season and get a starting job. I don't know where though. Maybe in Washington.
Well, the only problem with Russell Wilson right now is like you got to look at him and you got to think to yourself, he's kind of like damaged goods at this point. I mean,
you don't think he redeemed himself this season? I think he did.
I think he did, but it doesn't matter what you did throughout the season. It's what happened at the end of the season. It's all that matters is how the season ended. And the season ending is, oh, we'd rather miss the playoffs than start you. Because sitting you, yeah, we might beat the Chargers, but I think the last week of the season they play the Raiders.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're beating the Raiders without Russell Wilson.
Heck no.
Because now how the Raiders look, and if the Raiders win 2 in a row, the Raiders are easily fighting for themselves, especially if the Bengals win, and the Chiefs can somehow lose to the Chargers in the last week of the season. Probably not likely. But you're looking at the fact that the Raiders could easily sneak in there as like the 4th seed. So the Raiders have everything to play for because they thought their season was over. And you got to be looking at other guys like, same thing as Jimmy G on that team. You got benched for a rookie quarterback, pretty much, and he's taking them to the playoffs right now. And he's doing what your whole career you made money off, and that's just being a guy who doesn't turn the ball over, and just game manages.
A good game manager,
but he's just game managing better than you are.
Yeah,
and he's a rookie. So for me, yes, I think Russell Wilson did a good job with the team getting him to 7-8. But then you're gonna have people arguing, well, it wasn't just him; it was mainly the coach because he brought all the changes, and he can easily say as an argument to such because Russ didn't even finish the season. He was healthy. He just got healthy scratch the last 2 games of the season.
Yeah, I think he's damaged goods in the fact that he won't get that type of money anymore unless he does like a 1-year deal and then goes out and balls out, and maybe another team signs up from maybe not like a 5-year big deal, but maybe like a 3-year deal like Geno got. But he's probably never going to see that type of money again, which is really sad because when he got it, he deserved it, and then the regression happened partly because Nathaniel Hackett's not really a good play caller at all. He's pretty bad. And then Sean Payton comes in, and then you see, okay, Russ is like 3/4 of the way back. Probably needs like another year in that system, and then because of financial issues or financial savings, I'm not gonna say issues because the Walton family has a lot of money. They cut him, like you say, make him damaged goods. I guess we'll predict right now while we're on the topic. Where does he go? Where does he go from here in terms of teams? I mean, there's a bunch of teams that need quarterbacks next year. I think Washington's an easy fit, especially if maybe they draft somebody and then they sit a year under him.
Well, for me, it's like you got to figure out where certain coaches are going to go. Because you're gonna have to figure out what coach is gonna be the coach of Washington next year. And if that coach would
Bill Belly.
would like that.
Bill
You
Belly.
gotta look at those different aspects. If I'm talking about what coaches are probably staying and what teams may look like next year,
Yeah.
I mean, I can easily see him just going right down the road to Vegas. The Vegas trying to give him a shot, especially with Devontae Adams. Because no offense to Aiden O'Connell, he's not doing anything to prove himself to be a legitimate starter in the coming
nothing
seasons.
special.
He's just getting it done. The defense, honestly, is what's playing amazing for the Raiders.
Yeah,
So
Crosby's
Russell,
been
I can
balling.
easily see, especially with that coach they have in there now. If they don't keep that coach,
Antonio Pierce. Yeah, they
Antonio
gotta keep
Pierce.
him. They gotta keep him.
If they don't keep Antonio Pierce, and I can easily see Antonio Pierce looking at Russell Wilson as damaged goods and saying to him, "Hey, I'll bring you in here for a year and I'll pay you something, and you get yourself back, and we can see what we can do." And Russell's already shown that he can beat this division. He's already proven that he can beat everyone in this division.
Yeah.
So I don't know anything what's wrong with it. Then you look more around the league of what teams may have who. I could easily see Atlanta needing him, calling him up. But I don't know if Arthur Smith's going to be there. I don't know how Arthur Smith does with calling people around. But the Falcons are in desperate need because you're just now realizing that, well, Heineke can win games. Well, damn, maybe we should have been playing Heineke a lot longer. But the coach did promise Desmond Ridder that he wouldn't sit him, and then he sat him. So the coach is already not trustworthy as it is. So I don't know. I think that finding out where Russ goes is going to be one of those big picture things that we'll see cleared up once all the coaches find their prospective spots. And then once that happens, you can kind of get a feel of where someone might end up.
Yeah, totally. This is something we got to revisit in like maybe a month or two once everyone gets fired and then coaches start shuffling around, which we already predicted a lot of movement would happen this offseason. Also in Washington, Sam Howell has he's been benched for the past. He's going to get benched for the next game. Jacoby Brissett's going to start a little too late. I don't know what the hell Ron is thinking. You should just let the kid finish the season out. See if he get some more, get some more tape or games on the tape. And then leave that up for whoever the coach or the new GM is the next offseason to evaluate and see if Howell's the guy. I mean, honestly, Sam could be a viable backup. He could start a game or two if you needed him. But I think it's too early to make the call if he's a starter. Plus, the offensive line is just terrible. I think they're doing him a disservice.
I kind of agree, but I can also play the devil's advocate for the move and understand and maybe get behind. Because at this point, you have nothing to play for. You're not making the playoffs or anything.
No.
You're really not even messing up anyone's season. Because there's not like high likelihood you're going to beat the 49ers or anything.
Yeah.
It's coming up week. But I think it's more so because like Brian Robinson's not playing. And since Brian Robinson's not playing, well, they already know what they have at running back with Gibson. So they've been using Chris Rodriguez a lot.
Yeah.
And I think it's more so they're trying to get other guys on the team some playing time. And honestly, I kind of commend Ron for it, because Ron's basically getting some guys who normally aren't going to get some playing time. One, to try to showcase who they are and what they are, to get some money. Because you got to look at it from a different perspective. Jacoby needs some starting. Like Jacoby is probably not going to be there next year, right?
He's on a 1-year deal. Yeah, he's not going to be there.
Jacoby's not going to be there next year. Well, Sam Howell's not panning out right this moment in this season. We've already seen what he is. We like him. We don't like him. It is what it is. 2 more games doesn't prove anything any more than it already has. But for Jacoby, it's like, dang, these 2 games, I can go out there and prove a whole lot. I can get myself another backup quarterback spot somewhere, or I can go fight for a starting spot somewhere if I win the next 2 games. Jacoby Brissett wins against 49ers with the team that he had, with the team that he's working with right now. I think that says a lot about Jacoby and what he does with the team. Because we saw Jacoby with the Browns, he was winning games. He didn't win a lot of games, but Jacoby was keeping them in rhythm to make the playoffs that season. And then Deshaun Watson came and just wasn't him. He also hadn't played football for like 2 years, so it's kind of understandable why he wasn't him. But Jacoby was doing a good job that season. Jacoby hasn't really had any chance to do anything this season, so this is like one of those seasons where people forget about you, and it's gonna be hard to get a backup role at least minimum next year. But honestly, it's a good move because, like, okay, guys who are probably not going to be on the team much longer, let's get you some minutes. Let's let you prove something. And so next year, because I'm going to be gone, Ron's saying I'm going to be gone. It doesn't matter about me. I made enough money over the years. I can go home and sit on the couch for a little bit. But for someone like Jacoby, Jacoby still probably has a little bit of fire left in him, and he doesn't want to call it yet. He wants to. He still wants to be there. He still wants to be in the action in the whole grand scheme of the league. So I get it. And I wish they could keep Snare Howell because at this point, what's the point of stopping him? But I also understand, looking at it from the different point of view, I get it. Because if I'm, a no-name guy and I can prove something in the last 2 weeks, and people remember what I did the last 2 weeks, that means a whole lot. That gives me a chance to make a roster spot next year, or that gives me a tryout to make a roster spot next year. But if I finish off the season on a bad team and in putting nothing out there, then I'm doing myself even bigger disservice. So I think the move is more so for Jacoby to get a chance.
I mean, I would understand that if it was a no name, but we already know Jacoby Brissett. We know the history. A lot of people thought he would start week 1 anyway in Washington. So I would understand if it was like some kid that didn't really play a lot to begin with. But I mean, it just sounds like maybe Ron and EB are just throwing him a favor, like you said. Maybe he can show he can beat a good team with a bad roster, and he gets another start at the starting job. But I think I would understand more if it was, like I said, kid never played, but Jacoby Brissett, we know he's a capable backup / starter. It's just sad because it's not all Sam's fault. He's just getting beat up. If you watch B. Mitch and Finley, I mean, they said the same thing. Like, the kid's just getting beat up. He's lucky his head is still on his body. Like, he's just getting beat up, and he's probably just mentally drained. Which also was probably the reason why they benched him. They probably just see it like, all right, this kid just got hit like 1 billion times. He leads the league in sacks. Like, it's probably just good, just plug, go ahead and call it a year for him. But I would like to see some more film on him. I feel like it's still too early to call because I know a lot of Washington fans, they love him. So I think, but that's pretty much it for the news this week. I don't think too much else is going on. In terms of news, did we miss anything with news, like in terms of personnel, stuff like that?
I do believe we got everything.
Didn't the Packers suspend that one guy for going for the coin toss he wasn't supposed to, or some stupid crap like that?
Very well, maybe I didn't read about it yet. I know of Jair Alexander getting suspended, but I mean I didn't pay attention to it at all.
One game after the coin toss, it's really weird how this happened. I don't know what to make of it. I just literally read a little bit before.
I think what to make of it is probably Jair wants to get out of there, more so kind of thing.
Makes sense.
And he's tired of the way things are happening down there.
Yeah, and the Giants are going to start Tyrod Taylor over DeVito. I think that's a good move right there. Tyrod proved more than capable. Honestly, he should have started over DeVito when he was able to come back, but I guess they kind of wanted to ride the hot hand there. All right, that is it. Week 17. Coming up next, we got College Bowl games. First up, me and Lawrence kind of watched the what was it, the Military Bowl? Tulane and Virginia Tech Hokies. My Hokies pulled out a W, beat up on some Tulane. It was pouring down rain in was it Annapolis? We would have gone if it wasn't fucking pouring down for the past 2 days. A lot of turnovers. But Virginia Tech pounded the ball on the ground. I think Tulane's like top 5 in run defense, so it was pretty interesting. It was a good game.
It wasn't a bad game. I think it was one of those like no one saw Tulane losing, especially like seeing how the season has gone this whole time.
Yeah.
But on the other note, it was very clear that seeing Tulane lose once you saw all the players that were going to be out. So it's like a double-edged sword for Tulane for this game. We play it. Almost all of our team is gone. The AD director decided to go take another job. I forgot where they said that he went. But it was a pretty big role, pretty big gig for him.
Yeah, first bowl win under Coach Pry. Definitely a big turnaround in Virginia Tech football. They've been down for the past couple of years, so it's a good thing for them. But moving on, we got some big bowl games to talk about. The New Year's bowls, not New Year's Eves. We want to first talk about Michigan, Alabama. Probably the more anticipated game. I would say most people are probably going to watch this one over Washington, Texas. ESPN 5:00. Make sure you're off of work if you have to work on New Year's, because this is going to be one hell of a game. Right now, Alabama is underdog by 1.5. Interesting. What do you think, Lawrence? Who's going to win this one?
So last year I picked Michigan to beat Georgia. No, was that last year? No, I think that was the year before. I had Michigan to beat Georgia, and it didn't pan out. I watched Michigan get absolutely murdered by Georgia. So essentially, am I going to be a fool again and take Michigan to lose or to beat? Another SEC team? And well, I think I'm going to do it. Give me the Michigan Wolverines to beat Alabama. There will be no sweet home Alabama on New Year's.
So you say, huh? Okay. I think I'm going to go Roll Tide Nation. That's all we care about here, as that Drewski video. Yeah, I think Alabama has this one. I think you got to look at it like this. Like, would Michigan beat Georgia? Probably not. So there's no way in hell they're going to beat Alabama. Bama just beat Georgia. That's how I look at it. I think this is definitely... I think both teams are just going to pound it on the ground. I don't think you're going to see too much like quarterback play. I feel, even though Milroe can throw and McCarthy can throw a little bit, I don't think this is going to be too much of like a pass-happy game. I think it's just going to be a little bit of defense here and there, some stops here and there, and then they're just going to pound the ball on the ground where they're playing. In Pasadena? Okay. So it's going to be fair weather, 63 degrees. So some decent conditions. 5:00. Yeah. I'm gonna go with Bama. I'm going Bama. Roll Tide. The Alabama Invitational is called that for a reason,
I think Michigan has a lot of rewriting of their history to do in this game, so that's why I'm going Michigan. Michigan has a lot. It's a lot they have to prove and put on display for this game.
Fair enough. Especially Coach Harbaugh. He has a lot going on with the whole investigation. Plus, he has to figure out if he wants to stay or not. He has a contract on the table. I don't know if you saw it, but if he signs this one contract, he can't leave for the NFL, I think, in 2024 or something like that. I don't know. A bunch of stipulation that is a new contract if he accepts. Second game on New Year's. Second of the big games, I should say. Washington, Texas. Sugar Bowl. Playing in the Superdome. Who do you got?
I think Texas wins it. I feel like this is just like a Texas year. This Texas team is really good. I think that also the biggest part about this Texas team is that this Texas team really got hot, or kind of like exactly when it mattered in the season. I think it was like up to 2 weeks ago. We could sit here and say like Texas can't blow anyone out, Texas can't beat anyone. Like the spreads they should, and then you just see the last 2 games that Texas has played, and they've just absolutely murdered the crap out of both teams that they played. Oklahoma State is ranked, and they beat the crap out of them. And Texas Tech, honestly, I didn't see it coming because Texas Tech has a pretty good defense. And they dropped 57 on and only let them score 7. So basically, it was a big turnaround from the last weeks before that, and basically the whole season, in which Texas is getting all these spreads, and they're just not covering the spreads because they always just let games get close while keeping control, but still let the games get close, even though they shouldn't be getting close. I think it was good that Texas finally decided to just, to stomp on the throats of the teams that they play. But I also think Washington has never been not hot this season. So I do think it's a really good game. But it's just the fact that I just kind of have to give a little bit of the edge to Texas. And especially where the game is being held, I still kind of give that edge to Texas as well. Where it's being held just kind of gives a big disadvantage to Washington.
Oh, I agree. It's going to be hard to imagine a bunch of Washington fans traveling all the way to Louisiana. You got Texas fans who can just hop a state over. So they will have a little bit of a home field advantage, if you want to say so. 69% is going with Texas on the matchup predictor. That's probably a little bit too generous. I feel like this is definitely a 50-50 game. The over I would take because both teams can put up points if necessary, and Washington pretty generally just picks up 30+. So that's already one half of the over, and then you just gotta hope Texas can bring the offensive firepower. They probably will because they want to get to the national championship game. So we will hopefully see the best of both teams. Michael Penix will be pissed that he didn't win the Heisman, so he'll have something to play for. He won't get the Heisman, but he'll get the national championship. That'll kind of seal the deal for him in his college career. Texas has been playing well, and we've said a couple times, like Texas just hasn't really, they kind of play around the food instead of just really just putting them away in the past 2 games. They've done what we asked them to do. Hey, once you up, just keep the pedal to the gas. Don't let these inferior teams hang around and thinking, that they're somewhat good. Because you're at Texas and you're pretty good. So you need to let people know that. You got to remind them. So with all that being said, take the over. I would, if you feel in Washington, maybe take their spread because 4 is pretty good. They won a bunch of close games, so if they lose, it's going to be in a close game. It's not going to be a blowout. They can put up points. It's not like they, going to have any problem scoring. So it's probably just more so the defense. They will have problems with keeping Texas from scoring. I think that's my 2 cents right there. You plan on watching any other bowl games on New Year's? I mean, it's a full slate. New Year's is pretty much college football day.
Well, I'm going to be watching Iowa. Unfortunately for me, I don't believe Iowa's going to win. I don't see in what world Iowa can beat Tennessee.
How about that under?
I also don't believe in the under as well. I think Tennessee might. Oh, sorry. I think Tennessee just might put up way too many to make that under not happen, and Iowa tries to come back and make it a game. So I don't see this one being very a very entertaining one, to say the least. Maybe the whole entertainment might be the over/under, so maybe go that way. But I'll be watching just because I'm an Iowa Hawkeyes fan. Other games leading up until then that I've been looking at. Let's go to my little listy over here. So I'm really into the Pop-Tart Bowl tomorrow. North Carolina State versus Kansas State. I kind of have a big idea that Kansas State, regardless of North Carolina State being on a 5-game winning streak, I do believe that Kansas State will get this. Will win that game. I just feel like that's just a little bit. They should be just a little bit more favorited for that. Arizona versus Oklahoma in the Alamo Bowl. I do believe that Arizona will beat Oklahoma. Arizona is actually a 2-point favorite, but Gabriel for the Oklahoma Sooners, he's the quarterback. He will not be playing. So that just gives you like a big advantage over for Arizona, and Arizona doesn't need any advantages. I mean, they were supposed to be crap this year, and they turned out to be really good. So they don't really need anything to help out. Give me Clemson versus Kentucky in the Tax Layer Bowl or the Gator Bowl. Give me Oregon State, in my opinion, to beat Notre Dame.
Oh, okay.
Because what is it? Hartman will not be playing for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They're actually missing a lot of guys for Notre Dame not playing in the bowl game. I guess they didn't see fit that it was worth their time before the draft, which is fair. For the Cotton Bowl, give me the under in the Cotton Bowl. I haven't truly figured out who I believe. I kind of want to see Missouri win. I feel like it might be a Missouri year because Missouri's kicker is him. He's a good kicker, which can win or lose games. I haven't really seen Ohio State's kicker prove anything yet.
Mm-hmm.
But what I will say for Ohio State, I haven't seen them really lose themselves out of any game other than single one. But I feel like this is more of a punch each other in the mouth kind of game. That over at 50.5 is just kind of hard. They have it now at 48.5, so everyone's kind of in agreement with me that it's kind of going to go under, which I can understand. But I still think it goes under 48.5. Then you got the Peach Bowl. And for the Peach Bowl, I really do feel as if Ole Miss will give it to Penn State as being a 5-point underdog. So give me Ole Miss to beat Penn State. Ole Miss does not have many people sitting out. It does say that some guy is sitting out for Ole Miss. He's not even the main quarterback, so it doesn't matter to me. As long as Jackson Dart's playing, I think Ole Miss got a shot. Penn State just proved at the end of the season that they're beatable, especially against ranked teams. And then next, let's see, Georgia, Florida State. I think Florida State covers the spread. It is at 20 points, so I will say Florida State to cover the spread. And then last but not least,
no way you just said that. They're not going to put up 20 points. They suck with the quarterback.
Anywho, gimme. Give me Liberty to cover the spread versus Oregon.
Ah, okay.
Liberty's 13-0. I know they're not that good. They're actually just not that good.
David and Goliath.
They haven't played anyone really, really that tough.
Yeah, that's true.
But the 17 points is 17 points. And I'm pretty confident Oregon's not playing like almost half their team. All right, Oregon, half their team's just not going. So, give me Liberty to cover 17. I think they can do it. I think they can cover 17. Especially Oregon's defense, who has been cooked at multiple times this season.
Yeah, this is true.
So, give me Liberty to cover the spread. Basically, just give me Liberty to do better than Colorado did. That's all I got.
It's kind of crazy how the number 8 team is playing the number 23. Like, that's a huge gap. Like, who decided that's okay?
I think that's what Oregon's thinking the same thing of. But honestly, And I think it was more so Liberty went undefeated. So they're like, okay, you went undefeated. Let's give you some big boy, okay? Let's give you a big boy.
Let's see if you can beat these people, all right?
If you beat these people, then we'll think twice about what we gave you. we'll reconsider some things, but I'm okay with it. Let them go out there and prove themselves, or let them get murdered. One or the other. One or the other will happen.
Well,
You either prove something, or you'll get murdered.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right on that one. Absolutely right. That's pretty much all the bowl games, and then of course the week after January 8th, we have the national championship game. We will cover that as we know the two teams that will be in it. So stay tuned. I think whatever episode we do next week, we won't record on next Monday. So next Wednesday we will preview that game. Yeah, I think that's it for rapid fire. Christmas Day games, they were a couple days ago. We're not going to go over those. Nothing else really happened in NBA since. Final thoughts before we head on out. Last episode of 2023. It's a great year. First year of the podcast. Any final thoughts?
Oh, man, no final thoughts. I enjoy every moment of it. I love meeting with you every week.
All good stuff. Enjoy the podcast. I enjoy recording, getting our thoughts out there, all that good stuff. We got some good stuff to share with everybody. All right. With that being said, episode 62, last episode of 2023. Y'all stay safe. Have fun New Year's. Enjoy the bowl games this weekend. Join some NFL, NBA, all that good stuff. And we're out. Peace.
Peace.